Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something pretty major that happened around May 16th, 2025. A massive $1 trillion in deals across Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE.
Yeah, huge numbers.
Yeah.
And alongside that, the surprise lifting of sanctions on Syria, quite a confluence of events.
Exactly. So to kind of unpack this, we're using a particular lens, Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal. Apparently, Elon Musk recommended it, which adds another layer.
Right. It offers a certain framework for thinking about negotiation strategy.
So whether you follow policy or business or just how influential books shape thinking, our mission here is to explore the strategies behind these Gulf deals, using that book as a guide.
Okay, so the art of the deal. I mean, the core ideas, they often boil down to thinking really big, leveraging your strengths, and closing deals fast, decisively.
And you definitely see the thinking big part here. A reported $600 billion Saudi investment, $200 billion in jets for Qatar. That scale is just immense.
Absolutely massive.
But what about that other part, closing fast? Does that speed tell us something specific about the approach in 2025?
Well, it suggests a very focused push, maybe an accelerated timeline. The book itself, setting aside opinions on it, it does offer a way to analyze that kind of leadership style. But, does that speed maybe raise questions about the depth or the long-term stickiness of these agreements? That's something to consider, perhaps.
That's a good point. And the ripple effects. Economically, diplomatically, we heard talk about potential U.S. job creation linked to arms deals and even AI agreements.
Right. Big defense contracts, for instance. They often mean jobs in manufacturing, supply chains, down the line. And partnerships in, say, AI defense tech or smart city stuff. That could definitely spur growth in those high-tech areas, too.
Okay, but then there's the Syria sanctions piece. Lifting those at the same time, that feels like a really significant diplomatic move. How does that potentially impact stability, thinking about Gaza, Iran?
Yeah, that's where it gets really complex. Using economic tools like lifting sanctions can be part of diplomacy, but it's rarely simple.
Right.
It might be seen as an opening for dialogue, maybe addressing humanitarian issues, but different players in the region, they'll absolutely see it through their own strategic lens. It could shift dynamics.
And Elon Musk turning up during all this, his nod to the art of the deal and him actually being there, it sort of underscores this growing intersection of tech, big money, and global diplomacy.
It's fascinating, isn't it? This blend of traditional high-stakes negotiation with the sheer weight of modern tech influence.
Yeah.
Musk's involvement probably signals some serious tech components within these deals. It really blurs those old lines between sectors.
Makes sense.
And that idea from the book about balancing, bold moves with understanding the risks, it feels relevant with tech changing so fast.
This feels like exactly the kind of major policy shift that resonates with folks interested in, say, the topics we covered back in EP78. These big international deals, economic influence.
Precisely. It ties into those broader trends. And that date, May 16th, 2025, it does seem like a marker for this particular phase of deal making.
So the book gives us a kind of framework for understanding these evolving trends.
I think so, yeah. A way to analyze the tactics, the emphasis on leverage, and decisive action.
We're even thinking, just picture it for a second. Someone, maybe an aerospace worker in the U.S., gets a job or keeps their job because of, say, a new Saudi contract.
Right.
It brings those huge abstract numbers, $1 trillion, down to something more personal, which connects to the book's focus on outcomes like jobs.
Exactly. Though it's also important, I think, to acknowledge the other side. Not everyone's going to view these deals or the way they came about as purely positive.
Sure.
There's bound to be skepticism, different takes on the long-term consequences, the motivations. It's natural with deals of this magnitude.
Okay, so wrapping up. We've touched on these huge Gulf agreements, the Syria sanctions lift, and used the art of the deal with that Musk connection as a way to think about the strategies, thinking big, leverage, speed.
Yeah, and it leaves us with a pretty big question, really, for you, the listener. When you consider these tactics, thinking big, maximizing leverage, acting decisively, what do you think the long-term impact of these 2025 deals might actually be? On the regions themselves, their stability, and maybe even on how international negotiations happen down the road? Something to think about.